When it is calm, gentle, and consistent, because blackheads usually develop slowly as oil, dead skin cells, sweat, leftover product, and everyday friction collect in the opening of a pore over time. So the smartest approach is not to attack the skin, but to reduce congestion without creating new irritation. A simple routine is often better than a dramatic one. Cleanse the face morning and night with a mild cleanser and lukewarm water, because very hot water can strip the skin barrier and leave the face tight, dry, and reactive. Use fingertips instead of rough scrubs, stiff brushes, or abrasive cloths, because overscrubbing can make the skin more irritated and can draw even more attention to clogged pores. If you sweat after exercise, yard work, hot weather, or a long day wearing sunscreen and makeup, it helps to rinse or cleanse the skin as soon as practical, because sweat mixed with oil and residue can sit on the surface and add to that heavy clogged feeling. Avoid squeezing, pinching, scraping, or trying to force blackheads out at home, because that habit often leads to more redness, swelling, lingering marks, and regret than the original blackheads ever caused. Choose non-comedogenic products whenever possible, including moisturizers, sunscreen, makeup, and hair products, especially if your hair touches your forehead, temples, or cheeks. A lightweight moisturizer can actually help because skin that becomes too dry often becomes irritated, and irritated skin makes people impatient, and impatient people are exactly the ones most likely to stand too close to a mirror and start making decisions they would not defend the next morning. If you use over-the-counter acne ingredients, it is usually smarter to begin slowly with one well-chosen product rather than layering several strong treatments at once. Salicylic acid can help keep pores clearer, and adapalene may help reduce clogged pores over time, but patience matters more than panic. Improvement usually comes from steady use over time, not from one intense weekend of treating your face like a chemistry experiment. Remove makeup before bed, change pillowcases regularly, clean the things that touch your face often, like phone screens, eyeglass frames, hat bands, and helmet straps. Keep heavier oils and styling products away from acne-prone skin when you can. Try not to rest your face in your hands for long periods while reading, thinking, worrying, driving, scrolling, or politely listening to a story that should have ended 15 minutes ago. Stress management matters too. Not because stress alone creates every blackhead, but because stress often leads to poor sleep, rushed cleansing, more face touching, more picking, skipped routines, and the kind of late-night bathroom behavior that always feels strangely productive until daylight arrives with a very different opinion. Diet does not need to become a courtroom drama, but hydration, regular meals, moderation, and decent sleep support better daily habits overall. If blackheads are stubborn, widespread, mixed with inflamed acne, or simply not improving despite a sensible routine, professional guidance may save time and frustration. Prevention is rarely glamorous. It usually looks like repeating calm habits, reducing friction, choosing products the skin can tolerate, and remembering that steady care beats dramatic interference most of the time. And that same principle, the principle that not every small annoyance needs to be picked at, squeezed, tightened, corrected, or turned into a grand personal campaign, would have saved Marty Dugan of Willow Creek Landing in western Pennsylvania a tremendous amount of cheerful humiliation if anyone had explained it to him before the Sunday he accidentally became the acting commodore of Taj, the retirement community's pontoon boat club, and led 12 seniors, 3 coolers, a chocolate sheet cake, and 1 very nervous Pomeranian into what the local paper later called a lightly chaotic sunset flotilla. Marty was 78 years old, retired from 41 years as a high school guidance counselor, and the sort of man who still folded maps even though he had not trusted paper roads since the invention of GPS. He lived with his wife Elaine in a brick condo overlooking a small man-made lake with duckweed wooden docks, and just enough fish to support stories but not enough to support confidence. Elaine was 74, a retired nurse with quick hands, easy laughter, and the patient intelligence of a woman who had spent half a century watching her husband turn ordinary afternoons into complicated seminars on caution. Willow Creek Landing was exactly the sort of American retirement community that insisted it was not summer camp for seniors, while maintaining a schedule that would have exhausted a 4th grader. There was watercolor on Mondays, bocce on Tuesdays, card club on Wednesdays, walking group on Thursdays, movie night on Fridays, and on Sundays, from May through September, there was the pontoon social, in which residents with folding chairs and insulated cups gathered on the little marina dock, boarded 2 elderly pontoon boats, and drifted around the lake while somebody played soft music from a portable speaker and somebody else passed around cookies with more butter than memory. The boats had names, of course. The larger one was the Lazy Heron, and the smaller one was Minnow Problems, which had been named by a former dentist after a margarita incident nobody was ever able to explain consistently. Marty loved the pontoon social in theory because he liked orderly recreation, fresh air, and sitting down while technically being outdoors. In practice, however, he spent most of each outing identifying preventable problems. Too many people stand up at once. Nobody watches beverage balance. A cooler should not be placed emotionally near a dock edge. Elaine would listen, nod once, and say, "And yet somehow the Republic survives." Marty's closest friends at Willow Creek were Luther Phelps, 79, retired auto shop owner, hearing aid user by whim and not by need; Joyce Hanley, 73, former church secretary, known throughout the community for her bright cardigan collection and her ability to whisper devastatingly funny things without ever moving her lips very much; and Frank Moreno, 80, widower, retired barber, proud owner of 3 straw hats, and one lazy knee he referred to as the Union side. The official pontoon coordinator was a widow named Darlene Bishop, age 70, with coral lipstick, a visor collection that suggested sponsorship, and enough cheerful authority to organize a hurricane into subcommittees. Darlene managed sign-ups, life jackets, snack tables, waiver forms, and docking times with the energy of a woman who had not spent 1 second of retirement intending to become less useful. Marty respected Darlene in the way one respects a capable opposing attorney. She was competent, fast, and wrong far too often about the placement of coolers. Trouble began on a hot June Sunday when Darlene called Marty and Elaine just after lunch. Elaine answered. Marty, who could hear only her side of the conversation from the kitchen, knew immediately that a problem had happened because Elaine said, "Oh dear," followed by, "How bad," followed by the sentence, "Every married man fears more than a siren." "Well, Marty is right here." She came into the kitchen holding the phone. "Darlene has a stomach bug," she said. Marty took one step backward. "No," Elaine raised the phone slightly. "She says the pontoon social cannot be canceled because Marjorie already baked the cake and Harold from Building B invited his visiting cousins from Akron," Marty said. "That sounds like their emotional difficulty." Elaine held out the phone. "She says you know the sign-up sheet system." Knowing the sign-up sheet system is not the same as becoming aquatic management. Elaine smiled in that dangerous little way wives do when they have already decided resistance will be educational. "Take the call." Darlene's voice came through thin but commanding. "Marty, honey, I just need you to check people in, assign seats, make sure nobody puts the cake by the stern rail, and call out the route reminder. That's it." Marty stared at the refrigerator as if it might object on his behalf. "No." "Why no?" "Because I am not a boat person." "You're not a boat person, but you are a system person. And right now, the boats need a system person," Marty said. "That sounds like a trap dressed as praise." Darlene said, "Probably, but it's also true." Elaine leaned one hip against the counter and watched the whole thing like a woman sitting through a familiar first act. Within 5 minutes, Marty had lost. That was because older men who think of themselves as sensible rarely know how to refuse a practical request once it has been framed as temporary, necessary, and somehow related to cake. By 3 o'clock, he was standing at the marina picnic table wearing a sun hat he claimed made him look like an underfunded park ranger, holding Darlene's clipboard, and trying not to radiate managerial distress into the lemonade. The dock area was already lively. Residents arrived carrying folding fans, tote bags, desserts, deck shoes, windbreakers, mystery casseroles, coolers, and opinions. A little boy visiting his grandparents had a foam alligator under one arm. Mrs. Tinsley from Unit 12 brought a pound cake, just in case the chocolate looked too moist. Frank had a portable radio for soft standards. Luther had a fishing cap that said, "Bite me," and kept forgetting where he set his sunglasses even though they were on his collar. Joyce arrived with a tub of deviled eggs and said, "You look exactly like a man who will be issuing maritime corrections before sundown." Marty frowned. If people would follow basic boarding logic, there would be less need for maritime corrections. "And there it is," Joyce said, the opening hymn. The boats bobbed lightly at the dock, both more charming from a distance than up close. The Lazy Heron had respectable bench seating, striped cushions that had seen things, and a patriotic throw pillow no one claimed ownership of. Minnow Problems had one loose cup holder, 2 decorative rope knots that served no structural purpose, and a small dent near the bow that Frank called character and Marty called evidence. Darlene had left instructions clipped to the sign-in sheet. Seat people evenly. Check life jackets. Don't let Harold touch the speaker. Remind everyone sunset float only, no shore stops. Marty read the note and muttered, Finally, a woman who understands warning labels. The first 10 minutes of check-in went surprisingly well. Marty separated the sign-in cards, marked who had arrived, assigned boats based on balance and mobility, and directed coolers to sensible positions with the air of a man rediscovering his favorite talent, which was not helping people exactly but helping situations avoid becoming stupid. Elaine, seated in a folding chair nearby with iced tea, and no intention of doing more than necessary, watched him grow more competent, and therefore more doomed. The trouble started with Harold from Building B, who arrived with not only the visiting cousins from Akron, but also a dachshund-sized Pomeranian named Biscuit, wearing a tiny life vest with a shark fin on it. "No dogs," Marty said immediately. Harold adjusted his baseball cap. "Biscuit is family." Biscuit is fluffy chaos with an accessory. One of the Akron cousins, who wore boat shoes with no obvious aquatic history, said, "He's very calm." At that exact second, Biscuit saw a gull, barked like an alarmed tea kettle, and spun in a full circle on the dock boards. Joyce leaned over and said, "I do appreciate when an argument presents its own evidence." Harold crossed his arms. "Darlene let him ride last year." Marty looked at the dog, the shark fin vest, the bouncing dock, the coolers, the cake, and the visiting cousins from Akron already taking photos as if this were a marina in Monaco. He made a decision that history would later prove unwise. "Fine," he said, "but Biscuit stays on the Lazy Heron, under direct supervision, and if that dog creates one unscheduled event, he goes back ashore." Elaine, who heard this, covered half her face with her hand in the oldest gesture of married concern. Marty had now gone from reluctant helper to acting authority, and once men like Marty accept authority, they begin making conditional policies. That is how spirals start. Next came Marjorie with the chocolate sheet cake, carried like sacred cargo. Then came a widow named Sandra with 3 citronella candles, for atmosphere, which Marty banned in one sentence. Then Luther announced that somebody had moved the beverage cooler from shade into direct insult. Meanwhile, Frank was trying to test the portable speaker with Tony Bennett at a volume designed to attract both fish and zoning complaints. Marty, clipboard in hand, moved between crises like an irritated cruise director for sensible people. No, candles are not atmosphere on a pontoon. Yes, the cake goes center table, not near the rail. Luther, the cooler moved because you parked a chair on the rope tie. Frank, if I can hear Tony Bennett over the parking lot, the geese can hear him in Georgia. Joyce, who had secured herself a front-row lawn chair beside Elaine, murmured, "I don't think he's been this alive since the thermostat war of February." Elaine said, "No, this is different. Thermostat season was personal. This is pageantry." Boarding began. The Lazy Heron took 8 passengers, plus Biscuit and Harold's cousins from Akron. Minnow Problems took 7, and Frank's radio because Marty insisted only one boat should risk music. For a brief shining 12 minutes, it looked like the whole operation might work. Seats were balanced. Life jackets were distributed. The cake was stable. Biscuit had been placed between Harold's shoes like a decorative panic attack. Marty stood at the front of the Lazy Heron with the clipboard tucked under one arm, gave what he believed was a brief, practical reminder about remaining seated during turns, not dangling scarves near the motor housing, and honoring the dessert order once announced. Then he made his one great error. At the end of the speech, perhaps because all eyes were on him, and perhaps because some buried theatrical part of him had finally tasted warm public instruction and liked it, he said, "All right, folks, let's cast off in an orderly spirit." Joyce slapped Elaine's knee so hard Elaine nearly spilled her tea. "An orderly spirit," Joyce whispered. "He's gone full admiral." The boats pulled away from the dock into the late afternoon shimmer. The lake was small, ringed with cattails, low docks, and houses whose back porches all believed in flags. The air smelled like sunscreen, grilled onions from somebody's patio, hot wood, and summer water. At first it was lovely, very lovely. The kind of gentle American small water outing that persuades people they are living in a commercial for contentment. Frank's radio played softly. Marjorie distributed paper napkins with the reverence of a nurse handing out discharge orders. The Akron cousins took photos of everything, including one another, pretending to salute Biscuit. Elaine leaned back and let the breeze move her hair. Marty checked the boat spacing twice, then finally sat down. "See," she said, "you survived the launch. We are not through the first bend. You know what I mean." He looked out across the water, where minnow problems drifted behind them in decent formation, Frank at the helm under one floral shirt and two bad instincts. "I suppose it's acceptable," Marty admitted. "That is nearly poetry from you." On the far side of the lake, however, they encountered trouble in the form of Sandra's missing scarf. Sandra, who had tied a lavender scarf to the back of her chair even after Marty specifically warned against free-floating fabric near moving parts, suddenly cried, "My scarf!" Everyone turned. The scarf, now halfway overboard, fluttered like a surrender flag from the rear rail. Harold lunged. Biscuit barked. One of the Akron cousins stood up despite instructions. The boat rocked. Marjorie grabbed the cake. Marty was on his feet before his better judgment had even checked its shoes. "Everyone sit down," he said in a voice that startled even the ducks. The boat settled. Harold sat. The cousins sat. Biscuit barked twice more and then, insulted by the general lack of applause, sneezed. Marty reached back, unhooked the scarf himself, coiled it once, and handed it to Sandra with the solemnity of a man returning ceremonial evidence. "This," he said, "is why we do not decorate the moving parts of life." No one knew exactly what he meant, but the line landed hard enough that the entire boat laughed. Even Marty had to smile. Behind them, on Minnow Problems, people had seen the commotion but not heard the words, so Frank cupped a hand around his mouth and shouted, "Everything all right?" Marty yelled back, "Yes, unless we start accessorizing the propeller." Frank gave him a thumbs up as if that answered something. The next bend in the lake brought them near the cattails and the little wooden platform where the community sometimes fed ducks against better policy. This was where Franklin appeared. No one knew whether it was the same goose that plagued every community in the county or merely a local professional. What mattered was that it was large, gray, underemployed, and carried itself with the grave entitlement of a creature that had won too many small battles with picnic food. It paddled alongside the lazy heron eyeing the chip bowl one of the Akron cousins had opened too boldly. Marty saw it first. "No feeding," he said. "I wasn't going to," said the cousin. Franklin, as the goose would soon be known, rose partially out of the water and flapped once against the pontoon's edge in a move so brazen and so committed that Biscuit exploded into shrill outrage. Harold grabbed the dog. Sandra grabbed the chip bowl. Marjorie grabbed the cake again. Elaine leaned back and said, "Ah, here it is." The goose did not retreat. Instead, it paddled beside the boat with insulting calm, as if escorting an inspection. Marty stood, pointed one finger, and said, "You stay exactly where you are." Joyce, on the dock far behind them now, could not hear this, but would later say she was certain his tone carried into neighboring counties. To everyone's astonishment, the goose did stay where it was, which unfortunately encouraged Marty. "That's right," he said. "You are not in charge of this vessel." Elaine closed her eyes. Harold whispered, "Please don't negotiate with wildlife." Franklin flapped once more, then angled away and headed directly toward Minnow Problems, where Frank had just opened a bag of cheese crackers. The second boat shrieked. The radio cut off mid-Tony Bennett. Frank tried to wave the goose away with a folded newspaper. The goose interpreted this as a challenge and hopped onto the low swim step at the rear of the boat like a union man arriving to discuss grievances. People on the lazy heron could see only enough to know something ridiculous was happening. "What's going on back there?" shouted Marjorie.